All right.
I'm using my Tylenol. See if that works.
Oh, they already started, John.
No, they didn't.
Yep. Stop video.
Okay.
Yep. That's
Oh,
good.
there's 2 minutes left.
Both of us were just up on the screen. Yeah, they're live. There we go. That is coming right here.
Then start it. You're setting up.
Okay.
Yeah, we're setting up, but can you stop your video, please?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, thanks.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والسماء والطارق وما أدراك ما الطارق النجم الثاقب إن كل نفس لما عليها حافظ فلينظر الإنسان مما خلق من ماء دافق يخرج من بين الصلب والترائب إنه على رجعه لقادر يوم تبلى السرائر فما له من قوة ولا ناصر والسماء ذات الرجع والأرض ذات الصدع إنه لقول فصل وما هو بالهزل إنهم يكيدون كيدا وأكيد كيدا فمهل الكافرين أمهلهم رويدا بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل أعوذ برب الناس ملك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس صدق الله العظيم.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. Today is a bittersweet day because we're possibly in the last day of Ramadan. And this is our last Ramadan Stars session of the month. And I hope and pray, inshallah, we're able to continue. So our title today is The Promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what does that mean? Inshallah, as we go ahead and continue discussing, you'll see what it means. But to start us off, I will be talking about Fath Makkah, when the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam entered Makkah by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. After 8 years of being in Medina and being away from his hometown and being away from the city that he loved so much, the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala became true for the believers. So let's begin where you left off after discussing the Treaty of Hudaybiyah yesterday. So as you know, after finalizing the treaty of Hudaybiyah, the leaders of Quraysh thought they had won a victory over the Muslims, right? And some of the Muslims thought the same thing. And so they're pretty disappointed. And you went into detail about that. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his messenger had a plan. And as time passed, everyone began to see that. One of the points of the treaty was that both parties, the Quraysh in Mecca and the Muslims in Medina, they wouldn't fight each other for 10 years, during which time people would live safely. However, that didn't last too long. Just a short while later, what happened was that the leaders of Quraysh violated the terms of the treaty. And what does that mean, they violated the terms? They gave horses, weapons, and men from their army to a tribe called Banu Bakr. Now, who were the Banu Bakr? They were allies or friends of the Quraysh. And what they did was terrible. They had a plan to attack the people of the tribe of Khuza. And now Khuza was a tribe that was friendly with the Muslims. So they attacked the people of the tribe of Khuza, and they killed more than 20 of them. And when that happened, the people of Khuza ran to Makkah, and they pled with the leader of the Banu Bakr army, Nawfal, and they asked him to help protect them. But Nawfal responded in a very arrogant way, and he told his army to go ahead with the attack and to kill them. So after that happened, a companion by the name of Amr ibn Salim from the Khuza tribe, he took 40 of his men and he went to the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he was very saddened and he was very disheartened. More than 20 of his tribesmen had been killed. And so he went to the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam and he told him about the attack. and how the Quraysh had a hand in it. The Prophet ﷺ confirmed that Amr was telling the truth, and he sent a message to the Quraysh. He said to the Quraysh, pay blood money and dissolve your association or your connection with Banu Bakr. That don't be allies with them anymore. If you don't do these two things, then we're going to attack you. Then it's going to be war. This, I want you to keep something in mind, that this part of the story right there shows that the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did not just go into war without announcing it. He didn't just, as soon as he heard Amr, as soon as he heard him, he didn't say, okay, let's go to war with the Quraysh. He confirmed it. He gave them a chance, and he gave them a choice, and they chose war. So, realizing that the Quraysh had made a really serious mistake. Remember Abu Sufyan? Abu Sufyan traveled to Medina. He went to Medina. He realized that, by now the Muslims are probably very strong. And the fact that they had a treaty with them and that was broken, it means that the Muslims will most likely attack us. So he goes to, rushes to Medina to talk to the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And he wanted to convince the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to renew the treaty, right? They just broke the treaty, and now he's asking him to renew the treaty. And the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam just turned away from him. He didn't even bother giving him an answer, because they have the blood of more than 20 Muslims on their hands. They broke a treaty, and now you can't just, go back to the way things were. So the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam just turned away from him without giving him any reply. And Abu Sufyan then went to Abu Bakr. He went to Umar radiallahu anh. He went to Uthman. He went to Ali, but they all refused to help him. They all refused to help him, and he didn't have any choice but to go back to Mecca. So now the Muslim army, the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, now he knew that they had to prepare for war, and they started preparing for war. And throughout the past years, every time they had to prepare for war, and anytime they had to prepare for an expedition, the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam had a rule. He wouldn't tell, most of the army wouldn't know where they were headed to. He had a rule of secrecy, but this time around, he knew that he had to keep it a secret from even those people who were closest to him. He had to keep it a secret from even Abu Bakr, the person who was closest to him, or Aisha radiallahu anha, the woman who he loved the most. He wanted to make sure that the Quraysh were completely surprised by the Muslims right outside their border. And so when everyone heard that the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that he had announced that they were going to go on an expedition, right away they started getting ready, and they started to get ready to go out as an army. They simply obeyed him. Now, what lesson, in 2020, what lesson can we learn from this? Right? This happened about 1500 years ago. What lesson can we as Muslims learn from this? The Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is not amongst us, right? But how can we show him that we obey him? Or how can we show him that we trust him? How can we do that? How can, you, the listener, or myself, how can we do that? The way we can do it is following the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam Sunnah, following the Quran with complete trust. And another important lesson that we can learn from this is, when you have planned something, and this is something we talked about last week also, when you have planned something, not everyone needs to know, right? Those who are closest to you, you tell your parents, or you have a big goal that you want to achieve, you tell, a very trusted friend, but not everyone needs to know until you're done with it, okay? And so that's another important lesson that we learn here. So number one, trusting the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and obeying him, following his sunnah even now. And then number two, learn to not tell everyone your plans. You tell, those who are closest to you, like your parents or your siblings or a very good and trusted friend, and that's it. Another lesson we learn is, after I mentioned something, that's another lesson we learn, that the Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam at this point, he did everything that was physically necessary, right? He is planning for war. He confirmed that what happened was, what Amr was saying was true. He sent the message to the Quraysh as a last warning, giving them a choice. He is not telling everyone their plans. It's number 3, he's not telling everyone their plans. And number 4, he announced to the whole, all the Muslims in Medina, all the different tribes around Medina, that they were going for war, start preparing. So he's keeping everything a secret. So these are 4 or 5 things that he is making sure, taking the right steps, taking the practical steps needed to ensure that the Muslims will win this expedition. But what's the most important thing? What's the glue stick